What's good, YouTube? Holy cow, man. As you get ready to embark on your virtual boxing journey, I thought, why not come on here and make this video a basic tips, brother. Basic tips to get you started when you lock horns with your online opponents and offline opponents in Undisputed. All right, guys? Now, I wanted to tell you, when I played the beta, holy smokes, man, I compiled a record of 47-3. Pretty good record. And the strategies that I used, I just wanted to come on here and share them with you all because I feel like it would be very helpful for you as you embark on your journey. All right, guys, so we're going to get into it right here, right now. I want to thank you all for being here. My name is Ricky J. Here we go with the first tip. Let's do this, baby. Now, first things first, when you kick off your boxing match, always understand that, you know what, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get your opponent out of there in the first round. So don't be that type of fighter to go balls to the wall in that first round to try to get the KO. It's probably not going to happen. Now, I know some people may disagree with me, but my theory is see what the opponent is doing in that first round. Consider the first round as a scouting report. Consider it as a way to just feel out your opponent. So that's what I did. First round, I wanted to see what my opponent was about. Are they a counter fighter? Are they a volume puncher? Are they throwing big bombs to take me out? So I always used that first round to gauge what my strategy was going to be like throughout the course of the fight. Now, I bumped into so many guys that would try to just rush you and try to take you out like Mike Tyson. Now, when you get those pressure guys coming at you throwing punches, nothing's wrong with hitting the loose movement modifier. So push up on your D-pad. And I use a PlayStation 5 controller while I'm playing this game on PC. So I just go with the old loose movement, and then I move around, letting my opponent kind of gas themselves out in that first round. But while I'm moving around, I'm not just running away. I'm picking my shots. I'm being very calculated on my target, okay? I'm not trying to miss too much, but I'm not trying to overthrow as my opponent is coming at me guns a-blazing. But I'm looking to just kind of stifle them. And basically, when I would do that, my opponent would start to pull back a little bit. And then the fight would kind of sway my way because, you know what? I don't want to get into a phone booth fight with some of these guys online. Me personally, I can't throw shot for shot against opponents. I can't stand in the pocket and throw crazy combos. Every time I do that, if it was in this game or in fight night, I would get KO'd. But my theory of using head movement, using the loose movement, and counter punching in the beginning if I'm facing a guy that's aggressive is the best thing to do. But as a whole, the first point, what I'm trying to say is just use that first round as a scouting report and see what your opponent's doing. And then after that first round, you'll have a really nice idea on what your opponent is showcasing throughout the course of your fight. Now, as far as my punches were concerned, I always led with my jab as my primary attack. And I know some of you may think that, you know what, that's a little too passive or it's going to drag on the fight right to the bitter end. But that's not the case, because if you land a timely jab, if you allow your opponent to miss and then you kind of like weave back, kind of pull back, and then counter with a stiff jab, it is going to absolutely stifle your opponent. And then if you land a lot of those, your opponent is going to get stunned eventually. But what I would do is I would complement my jab with shots to the body. So I would always, you know, use my jab and then give my opponent something down low as well. Because when you're making those punches down low, when you're showcasing the body shots early, I like to believe it's like a long-term investment, okay? Because as you're planting those body shots, your opponent will start to slow down. So always remember, utilize that jab, but then mix things up with shots to the body, all right? And if you have that reach advantage in your fight, you're able to kind of stay outside of your opponent's punching range. If you kind of pull back and then counter as your opponent misses. Like I said, you're going to touch him and he won't be able to touch you, or she. But that's my strategy, and I felt like it worked very well throughout the course of my fights. Now, when it comes to throwing punches, for me, I always like to keep my combos pretty short. I wouldn't go more than a 3-punch combo. The reason being is I wanted to keep my long-term stamina high, just so when it became to the later rounds, I had the advantage when it came to the stamina game. I also wanted to be very careful not to have my short-term stamina go down low, because when your short-term stamina is low, it leaves you susceptible to a rock or a knockdown. So I kept my combos really short, maybe 2 or 3 piece combos, and that was it. All right. Now, when I had my opponent hurt, here's another thing. I didn't go bonkers on the guy. I didn't go into berserker mode, so to speak. I picked my spots again, man. When I had my opponent rocked, I hit him up with a couple of shots, maybe even one shot, a hard right hand, or even a stiff jab. And those punches that connect when your opponent's hurt, even though if it's like 1 or 2, can absolutely drop them. So don't believe that volume is going to win you the fight. It's all about accuracy, man. What do they say? Precision and timing. So always think about it like that. Don't rush into the knockout. They always say in combat sports that the knockout never happens when you're looking for it. So when you have your opponent hurt, stick to the game plan. This is what I always did, man. I stuck to the game plan of just being accurate, hitting my opponent up with 2 or 3 piece combos, and then looked for openings, and they just started to continue to get hurt. And then I repeated that system, and eventually they went down. So that's what I do, man. Let me know if you had a different strategy, if you had an opportunity to play the game, but that's what I did. Now, this could be a very basic tip, but don't forget to block your body, all right? Now, I use the PlayStation 5 controller, and it's R2 and L1 that I would use to block my body. Now, a lot of people are coming from Fight Night Champion. Now, in Fight Night Champion, one button would block your head and your body. In this, you have to understand that you gotta block up high, but you also have to remember about your body. And a lot of those high-level players online, when the beta was dropped, would send out a lot of body shots because they understood, like I said in the beginning of this video, that those body shots were a long-term investment that would actually help them throughout the course of the fight. So don't forget to block that body. And remember, when you have the loose movement, even though you're able to get away with your foot speed, you are vulnerable when it comes to shots within range. So always remember that if you're going to use the loose movement, you're going to get on your bike, you're going to move around, be careful, because those big shots are going to hurt even more compared to being in your standard stance. All right. So always remember, do not forget to block the old body, because the game won't do it for you. All right, guys. So those are my basic tips. I honestly feel like if you follow these tips, you are going to get wins in Undisputed, and you're going to surprise yourself, because I know a lot of people say that boxing is like a marathon, not a sprint. Now, if you have that mindset in this game, even though you're being calculated with your shots, even though you're being careful and defensive, you are going to get stoppages like you wouldn't believe. The fights are going to end, because a lot of people, when they pick up games, especially simulation combat sports games for the first time, they think they're just going to go like Iron Mike Tyson and try to get the knockout in the first couple minutes. But if you are defensive and kind of withstand those storms, you are going to get those opportunities to fight back and inevitably end the fight. I cannot wait for this game to drop. It is coming soon. Early access, January 31st. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And even though some of you hardcores will be like, you know what, some of these tips are pretty basic, but it's almost like it's the foundation of making you an elite boxer in this game. All right. Now, before we end off this video, I'm going to give you guys a fight that I have not shown on this channel. It's just kind of tying in all those skills together. I hope you enjoy this one. Take care. Peace and love.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes, I like that round. Good round. You feel good? Good man. Good man. Just the same again. Don't change too much yet. Keep doing what you're doing. The gaps will appear.